Some people who have come up with loyalty points ideas, and they would say that that's completely unfair and completely biased in front of for me. To which I would turn around and say, "Well, you started it, pal." Hi, this is Mike. Welcome to my vlog, which talks about all things football in general and Burnley FC in particular. And I thought I'd review the past week or so in the life of the Clarets, which basically was a mixture of highs and lows. If we start off with the highs, we have the game against Preston, a local derby that lots of people were looking forward to. And the Clarets put in a performance that was memorable, that was exciting, and that is bound to have wiped the smile off that cheeky chappy happy-go-lucky Preston fan, and of course Mark Lawrenson. It was a total performance by the Clarets from start to finish, scoring the opening goal after 8 minutes in what is now in my head known as the Deaf Leppard end. And then that was the first of Nathan Teller's three, an absolutely fantastic performance. Arijanet Muric was beginning an interesting week for himself by being absolutely immense in every way, shape or form, apart from when he had to actually stop the ball, which he didn't even need to do with the little work that Preston actually had when it came to trying to attack the Clarets' goal. Nathan Teller was absolutely fantastic, and it was an interesting lineup actually by VK. We had a left side that was Ian Matson, Johan Berg Gudmundsson and Anna Sarori. Now that is a fantastic left side going forward. Not entirely sure you want to be doing that against a team that can actually attack you. The tactical setup by Ryan Lowe for Preston was absolutely ridiculous. He got it wrong in every way, shape or form. 3 centre-backs and 2 wing-backs. And he put Robbie Brady up against Nathan Teller, which was a brave decision, in the same way that covering yourself in raw meat and then jumping in the lion enclosure at Chester Zoo is a brave decision. And there probably was much the same kind of result, with Teller just basically taking one look at him in the first 5 minutes and going, "I've got you on toast for the rest of the game." Bit disappointing to see Brady booed, as you know, called Burnley reject and so on and so forth. I thought he was decent for the Clarets when he actually could play, but that was the problem. He never could actually play on any kind of regular basis. But Brady was a key part of the first part of the Europa League season when we qualified. He was absolutely amazing. And I thought it was a bit unfair that he got booed, but I might get onto the fan part of it a bit later. Teller scores twice in the second half from a long ball, one of them. A great link up with Ashley Barnes, who is absolutely revitalised. I'm on record as saying that Ashley Barnes isn't my favourite player in the world, but he's been absolutely fantastic for the past few weeks and seems to be taking on a leadership role. And I never thought I'd be saying that about Ashley Barnes, but him and Teller have been absolutely fantastic over the past couple of weeks. So yeah, you're walking away from Preston game, you're thinking 10 in a row. This is an impossibility to be a record-breaking team, not just in club terms, but in championship terms. So we come to Tuesday night, Watford under the lights. This is going to be one of the toughest home games remaining for us. Only Sheffield United of the top teams still have to come to the turf. And it turned into a bit of a slog. I was listening to it on Clarets Player for a while anyway, until they did what they usually do when things don't go Burnley's way, which is actually stop doing their job, but that's a rant for another day. It seemed like the entire team was off. Everything was off. Nothing was working. Nothing was kind of hitting. The passes were being sloppy, and Clarets have been kind of doing this the last couple of games, to be honest. Certainly the opening 5 minutes of the second half against Preston, they were just sloppy. The the midfield in general hasn't really convinced. Cullen, Cork, Brownhill, they have been playing well, but I'm not convinced they're playing well together. And I'm not sure that VK has actually got the solution to that. Cullen on his own, fantastic. Brownhill, I think, has been pretty good after an explosive start to the season. I think he's been pretty decent. Cork, again, pretty decent, but not really kind of clicking for me. They're doing a good job, but it kind of feels like they could be doing better. But I guess the main talking point is Muric basically having a brain fart and screwing up, conceding for the first goal. Yeah, the initial play is his fault, absolutely his fault. He should have done better than that. But if you actually look back at the goal, the recovery by the defence is pretty poor. He's scrambling, absolutely, he's floundering out there, but he's getting no direction. And there are, I think, 4 clarets in the penalty box, yet Pedro is pretty much unchallenged to knock a square pass in. And that's pretty poor. And I kind of think that VK tried to give him a bit of a kick at half time, but it didn't work. Clarence didn't seem to be doing much. Yes, you can say around and say that Watford were managing the game, for want of a better phrase. Yes, you could say the ref could have done better. But I'm not going to complain because ultimately we've done 7 years of that. So to turn round and suddenly be, the arbiters of what is great football, no, that's what they did to us, what we done to other teams in that situation, and I'm not going to blame them for it. They got away with a couple of things, but that's just the way it goes. And VAR might have helped. I don't care. I don't like VAR, so that's just the way it goes. And don't blame the lack of VAR for the fact that we weren't playing against 10 men for the last half hour or so. That's just the way it goes. Stop crying and get on with it. A deserved equaliser, I felt. Although, it was never never going to win or anything like that. We weren't deserving to win. Watford came, did the job, and fair play to them. But, yeah, we scored. It's a shame. Great to see Obafemi score. Nothing wrong with that. But I feel that Lyle Foster is a little bit snake-bit, a little bit unlucky. That's twice in 2 games where he should have scored, but has not done so through pretty much no fault of his own. And it feels like he should be a confidence player who, if he gets 1 or 2, this guy is the future. He is signed by the club, and he really needs to kind of get going. But I don't think he's doing anything wrong. And this is kind of the one of the main things I want to be talking about. There's a lot of moaning, and a lot of moaning from fans. It was kind of interesting. I was originally going to do this after the Preston game on Sunday. I saw a lot of comments from Preston fans, and I'm not picking on Preston fans specifically. I always see this from a lot of fans, where they're talking about a lack of grit and a lack of heart and a lack of determination, a lack of fight, especially in a local derby. I've no time for that kind of talk. I've no time for this idea that you're supposed to run around and have passion and all that kind of thing. At the end of the day, you can run around as much as you like. If you can't get the ball, then there's no point. You can complain about players not tackling hard enough. Well, if they're nowhere near the ball and they tackle someone when the ball isn't there, then that's a red card. Don't complain about it. This idea of grit and determination, it goes back to something I said after the Derby game where Blackburn fans were complaining that there was no local players who knew the significance of the Derby. Well, if you actually watch that match, you look like Burnley had 11 players who knew the significance of the Derby, but we didn't. We didn't have one. Maybe Josh Brownhill, but that's about it. This idea of grit and determination is exemplified by, Joe Hart being in goal for England and trying to, his antics, if you remember him trying to put off Andrea Pirlo, who basically looked at him and made him look stupid, because that's the difference between passion, which is not directed at anything, it's just passion for anyone's sake, or intelligence and football intelligence. And that's, football intelligence wins every time. So, but that's the thing about moaning fans. And as I say, I'm not calling out, moaning Preston fans specifically. And it's just an example of some of the things that people sort of say about football, and they don't really, understand what they're actually saying, or they don't, perhaps they don't even mean it, but they don't understand what they're saying. And this is where it comes to Muric. Muric had a shocker yesterday, no problem. Don't. I think he'd be the first player to say that. I think VK has come out and said he wasn't good enough. I don't believe that he was substituted at half time, although it would be interesting. We'll never find out, but it would be interesting to see if that was the case. But Muric was hardly the only culprit last night. And you just get the initial people who are waiting, literally waiting for something to go wrong, because that's the point where they enjoy themselves. They don't want to see a successful Burnley side because there's more drama when there isn't. It's hard. It's hard to write, or it's hard even to do this vlog about a successful team that's winning every week, because how do you say, They've been brilliant every single time because they have for 10 games in a row. It's hard to continually be positive and say, yeah, there they are again. It's a lot easier to complain, which is why social media and Twitter and stuff is such a magnet for hate and abuse, because it's so much easier to do that than it is to be positive. And you have a subsection of, I'll say it, Burnley fans who love to moan, who love to complain, who were picking on Scott Twine while he was injured, who will pick on Lyle Foster next. Lyle Foster will be the next one until he scores one or two. But they'll ignore things like Lyle Foster looks to be struggling, but pick a striker who looks to be working in VK's system this year. J-Rod did not look good. He scored plenty of goals, but J-Rod did not look like he was comfortable in the system and in working the system working for him. Ashley Barnes did not look comfortable in that role either. And Lyle Foster's taking time as well, but that's not good enough for some people because they need to moan, they need to complain. Muric, they don't like Muric's style of players. Well, deal with it. It's high risk, it's high reward, but they are going to pounce on this and say he should not be playing that way and he should be dropped for Bailey Peacock-Farrell. But, he played magnificently on Saturday, so pick one. You feel that people are complaining about the fans, the atmosphere, and all that kind of thing. They're just looking for something to complain about. The idea that every fan is supposed to react the same way and do the same things. I'd hate to be sat in a turf moor full of people, 21,000 people who act in a game like me. I'm a nightmare to sit next to. And I fully admit that I have so much sympathy for all the people who sit around me. But, I wouldn't like to sit next to me. And this idea that I'm going to turn around and demand that other fans show passion, however you're supposed to show passion, define showing passion. Define proper support. And I put that in quotes, proper support. Go on, define to me what is proper support for your football team. And then we'll see exactly what you mean by that. But that's just people, as I say, looking to moan, looking to find a problem. They might be doing it for views on Twitter or clicks on a website or a news article or whatever. The idea that outrage sells, and sometimes they don't even need a reason; they'll just invent it. One of the classic ones is, "Oh, some people say." You see that in politics all the time. You see a political journalist talking to a politician and saying, "Some people are saying." What they're actually meaning is, "Nobody's saying it, but I need an angle. I need something." I need a story. I need something to write or to whatever. And, some people say Lyle Foster is struggling. Really? Didn't see it for a while. Some people say the atmosphere is not good enough. Do they? Really? Whatever. And I suppose that gets me on to the final thing I want to talk about, which is the loyalty point situation. Blackpool tickets came out and then they sold out pretty damn quick. And they're going to sell out quick because it's a local derby or local-ish derby. 3,500 tickets or so, and Clarence are going really, really well. So, of course, people are going to buy those tickets and they're going to buy them quickly, which means they sold out quickly, which means lots of people started complaining about the loyalty point system. Right, I do not, speaking personally, have enough loyalty points to be in the top tier of the point system. It's as simple as that. The people who are at the top, they get first dibs on the tickets. They get first dibs on the tickets because they keep buying the tickets and going to the game, which means someone like myself is highly, highly unlikely to ever be able to get tickets for games, once we get into smaller allocations and all that kind of stuff in the popular matches. That's just the way it goes. Now, I do have a solution to this based on some of the stuff I was reading and some of the suggestions I saw for the loyalty points changes to the system. And there's no system perfect, any system can be changed. But I do have a couple of solutions. You keep it as it is, but you get a bonus, for certain things. So if you go to an away game down south, you get a 10% bonus. If you go to an away game that's near, it's a 5% bonus, or maybe no bonus whatsoever. And there are other bonuses that are available. Obviously, if you buy stuff in the club shop, then you get a bonus. If your name's Mike and you do a YouTube vlog, you get a 100% points bonus. If you're one of Mike's mates or family, you get a 50% bonus. Now, some people who have come up with loyalty points ideas may object to the fact that I would, under my system, get 100% bonus, and they would say that that's completely unfair and completely biased in front of for me. To which I would turn around and say, well, you started it, pal. Because every single loyalty bonus change benefits the person who is suggesting it. And that's how it works. So, I just think at the end of the day, the loyalty point scheme is flawed, but I don't think there is much in the way of a better one, especially when you deal with small allocations going to some of the grounds that we have in the Championship, or smaller allocations. It took me 4 years of the Premiership to get to Manchester United, to get to Old Trafford. I tried every year, and the 1 year I did get, we won 2-0. So, maybe I should get a bonus for that. I was there for the win. I'm a lucky charm. Maybe I get a bonus next time we go to Old Trafford. No one has a right to away tickets. No one has a right to do anything, to just get it simply by being them. That's not absolutely, that's completely unfair. And like I say, I think people are looking at the loyalty system and going, there's an opportunity to moan that someone's getting something and I'm not, and that's not fair. Well, that's life. Just deal with it, suck it up. And I say that as someone, as I say, who loses out regularly due to the loyalty point system, but that's just the way it goes. So yeah, anyway, that's it for this week. A bit of a, kind of funny. I'm talking about moaning and stuff. Bit of a moan, bit of a rant, whatever. But it's not so much a rant about the team. It's sort of a moan about the situation and a plea to just get some damn perspective, will you? It's not that important. It's football. Football's the least important, most important thing in the world, and you should always remember that. But anyway, that's it for this week. If you agree, if you disagree, please leave a comment below. If you like this kind of thing, please hit the like button. If you really like it, please click subscribe. And send links and all that kind of stuff to other people if you want to share this video with others, see what they think. And in the meantime, up the Clarets.